Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka... And we are back with another Twitter thread. My most recent upload was about some of the implicit problems in Master Duel. Despite the fact that it is far and away the best Yu-Gi-Oh game ever released, there's still a lot that it's missing. So today, I thought it would be fun to reminisce. What are some other Yu-Gi-Oh video games that maybe had a couple more problems? I'm going to begin with one of the ones that was pivotal to my formative years, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Tournament 2004. This game was awesome. You could play through a number of different duelists, and unfortunately, it also had exactly the type of shit that I like, which is a code system by which you could enter in every single card in the game and give yourself it. All it took was 9 hours of your time. Anyway, the climax of this thing required you to be playing the game on a specific set of days that the World Championship took place. So in order to advance the clock to those days, you would just walk into a duel with Joey and surrender over and over again until you could finally fight the endgame bosses. I remember building a Masked Sorcerer Exodia just because I thought the animation was so cool. Let's see what you all came up with. The law says, I'm actually playing through this one right now, and God, is it fun. Yes, it takes a lot of grinding to get going, but once you're in, there's nothing like fusing a petite dragon, a plant, and a thunder into twin-headed thunder dragon on turn 1. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is a very strange game. It's not really Yu-Gi-Oh! As you would expect. It came out in 1999, which you may realize predates the release of Duel Monsters TCG, and as a result, it does not follow the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules. Instead, it's this long, convoluted system by which, the star signs of monsters enable you to summon different monsters. One of the most frustrating and grindy games of all time as well. It takes hours and hours and hours to put together anything resembling a reasonable deck and to make any progress. The drop rates for good cards in this game are comically bad. I think the 100% speedrun of this game is, weeks long. Taste of Victory says, Duelist of the Roses is literally the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game. One of the greatest game soundtracks. I use as the standard to judge other games. Fun fusion system, legitimately interesting chess-like spin on Yu-Gi-Oh! That has its own mind games. We need a sequel. I don't know why they kept doing this. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game that you can put in a game and you can sell it as a video game, but instead almost every Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game, you don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! You play something else involving the characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses puts another spin on that formula by not only allowing you to play a game that isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Here it's like a tactics game. You also aren't playing as the characters. Let me just pull up what's going on here. So the concept here is that you are reenacting the War of the Roses, except Yugi is Henry Tudor. It's the craziest concept for a video game I've ever heard in my entire life. And yet it is unfortunately quite interesting. It's not bad. Look at this. My mother was wise in summoning you from Scotland! Duelist, I am Yugi. Actually, Henry Tudor is my name, but I find it tiresome, so you may call me Yugi. Again. One time I lent this game, epic game, to my buddy, both 10 years old, and he, my buddy, wiped my file, my empire, fully built of mech lords, of dust. What the fuck why does everyone like Forbidden Memories this much? We've talked about World Duel Carnival a number of times on this series already. It still shocks me that it exists. It is not really a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. It's more like a role-playing game dating simulator. It didn't really ever come to the United States in any sort of meaningful capacity. But Skyhawk is right. You do just get all the cards at the beginning for PvE. Stardust Accelerator World Championship 2009. This is the first 5Ds World Championship game. Far from perfect. I like the difficulty, cool puzzles, final boss. Many of these old games hit the sweet spot of being a challenge without being a grindy, sacky mess. Yeah, I appreciate when, the challenge doesn't come from trying to roll the fucking Forbidden Memories AI. I'm back on Forbidden Memories. Nightmare Troubadour. I've literally never heard of this game. I remember playing a lot of DDS as a kid. I think maybe the first one. Which at the time felt like stumbling onto secret lore. It released before Season 1 of the anime had finished airing, so it had characters from Battle City and Ancient Egypt such as Esperoba and Priest Seto. I also wouldn't be surprised if video games like this were responsible for how Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! Was played. Monsters had a type and alignment, there was a Pokemon-like advantage system. One of the most bizarre features was the ability to construct monsters from a random upper and lower half. Huh? God, I thought top shortage was already bad. I was 100% a GX Duel Academy kid. This and the show were my only points of interest into the game at the time and holds up pretty well. Tried doing a fire-only challenge, and I gotta admit it was funny floating from UFO Turtle into Mass Dragon for more floats. It's funny to think that there's an alternate version of Chaotic Meatball that plays like Here's my Jaden's Challenge run. I swear to God, they were just making GX video games I've never heard of. I don't think this one's real. I've never heard of it. Tag Force Evolution is the PSP port for the American localization of GX The Beginning of Destiny, which was originally called Tag Force. Dual trans are on the Wii. What? They're trans in our duels. This is Mario Party. You roll a number to determine how many spaces you can go and get items to access other parts of the board. Not the best game I ever played, but it was enough for me as a kid. I don't know where you all are finding these. I was expecting a lot of Forbidden Memories and shit. I've never heard of 5D's Yu-Gi-Oh! Decade Duels Plus. Digitally downloadable on PS3 and 360 and was Ancient Prophecy format pre-Edison. Dark Strike Fighter FTK was legal and the computer pulled it off. Wheelie Breakers. Ugh. Isn't Wheelie Breakers like a racing game? I'm pretty sure. Do they play Yu-Gi-Oh? I remember I took a bite out of my Wiimote and now the shell has a chunk taken out of it. That's classic Yu-Gi-Oh player behavior. Power of Chaos series, Yugi the Destiny, Kaiba the Revenge, Joey the Passion. They are so bad. These are terrible. If I recall correctly, yeah, it says this was only the first set. Oh, thank God. Only the first set of Yu-Gi-Oh! I am from 30 years into the future, and my favorite old school Yu-Gi-Oh game is Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale. Let's go Rush. We do not have this game. Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale is an incredibly good game for the Switch. I like it a lot. I think Rush Duels are fun. I think they're neat. In America, they just never updated this. This is like the Duel Links of Rush Duel, and in America, we got it as like a download-only copy, and then they never did an update. So it's got all this functionality that just doesn't work. Overseas, not only did they get updates as new Rush Duel sets came out, they got a sequel. We didn't get this shit. We don't have this yet. The Sacred Cards. This is not a real game. You know what this card is called in Japan? Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 7, the Duel City Legend. I don't know why, but I have very vivid memories of owning this before I had any real interest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Beats me what I did there. I'm looking at the thing right now. It is not actually a game, but a detailed catalog of all cards released up to Strike of Neos. I don't have any particular nostalgia for them because I didn't have a PSP. Going through the Tag Force games has been a blast because the sixth one is fan-translated.
Whoa!
Run that shit back? Can you blame him, though? I've felt like that during duels. Hoops, remember Yu-Gi-Oh! Bam! This shit was playable in Facebook! Oh my God. Who you got? I got Pedro for sure. I got Io Nut for sure. This is like the only way to play Dungeon Dice Monsters, right? After reading the responses to this, I'm starting to realize that a lot of you really don't like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You like interacting with the IP, but playing the card game, fuck it. Let's do Duelist of the Roses type shit, huh? Rhymestyle says, easy answer, the GOAT. Absolutely correct. Dragon Ball Z Budokai is the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh! Game ever made.